Hello.
Oh my god. You gotta be careful, dude. You gotta be careful. You're gonna get the VOD muted. You gotta be careful.
It was a quick one.
Okay. Nice, dude. All right, man. How you doing? What's up?
You know, same old, just, losing.
Okay, nice. That's sounds about right. Well, don't worry. We're gonna help you with that. We're gonna get you winning in no time. And I think you already sent me a message on StarCraft 2, which is good.
Yeah.
Dude. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make you leader, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna have you go into replays and host one, whatever one you want to look at, and we're gonna talk about it.
Okay. Let me pick a good one here. Alright, let's start with this one.
All right, and then make me the lobby host before we start, and then we'll. Oh, dude, you already did. Okay, you know your shit. You know your shit, bro. All right.
I've seen a couple replays in my day.
Nice. Okay. Good. You're ready. So yeah, this is a Gold League for anyone who's not looking at the screen right now. Gold League coaching. This is a ZvT. And what kind of style do you play?
Hey, ViBE.
People, man.
Are you about to start a
do you
YouTube
play-
video?
I try to do the beat to GM
Okay.
build as closely as I can.
Okay. Oh damn, dude, this is a 30-minute game. We'll definitely look at a lot at the beginning, and we'll kind of skip through the end later.
Yeah, I think this one, my main problem is I think I'm too slow. I don't know.
So okay, so like your opener here, it's I mean it's nothing really crazy going on so far. It's fine. Your Overlord Scout is fine. Your second Overlord, I like that it's going to your natural. It's good. And you 17 hatched it against Terran. I think 17 hatched against Terran is definitely really good. Like 16 against Protoss and Zerg is more appropriate, but 17 in my opinion is better against Terran. And then
That's exactly why I did it.
nice. Fuck yeah. You're already on your way to becoming a pro. But here's the thing. Okay, so if you're gonna go beat a GM, your gas is too fast. The idea you want to have for your gas, okay? There's two numbers you can go for. Number one is your pool. When your pool is at like 50% of the way done, that's when you want to take your gas. And the second way to do this is if you actually follow a number, like a build number, where it's like 17 hatch, 18 pool, 20 gas. You could also say 20 gas would be fine, because that would also mean the same thing if you did 17, 18, 20, because the 20 would mean your pool's being, or sorry, yeah, your pool would be about halfway done when you take your gas. Essentially, that's just kind of what you want to go for, only because the way it lines up is you'll get 100 gas when your queen finishes, and then you'll be able to start your layer and go from there. And because if you take your gas too early, the only way you're going to saturate it properly is if you rip your drones off mineral line and stuff like that. So delaying your gas a little bit makes more sense if you're just going to go for a layer and skip Zergling speed.
Got it. I've been taking it basically with my pool every time, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would make sense to take it with your pool if you were going to go for like a speedling opener. Because like you'll see it when your queen's done, you're gonna have a pretty substantial amount, over 100. Or what? Hold on. I want to see actually? Did you saturate your gas right away? I wasn't paying attention. So your gas is done at 150, and you saturate it at. Okay, yeah, that's why I was like, your gas is actually not as high as it should be. And I didn't pay attention to this just a second ago, but yeah, you waited for like 20 seconds to saturate it after it was done. And even though 16 out of 16 is ideally, that's efficient, you still can get a little bit of extra efficiency on your mineral line with drones after 16 out of 16. So delaying your gas will just give you a tiny bit more money. Yeah, with how late you delayed your gas anyways, this is actually more appropriate. Like for when you started actually mining it, this is good. But yeah, that one drone could have mined a little bit longer too. Oh, okay. Now, you don't see a natural. You're making a spine. I like this. I'm going to say this is totally fine. What you could do as well is you could poke his ramp just a little bit, just a bit, and you can see what he has there. And if I were to say, you know, if you poked his ramp and you saw triple depot, I'd be like, all right, yeah, this guy might be cheesing you. It's fucking weird. This is awkward. He's definitely trying to make it look like he's doing a proxy, but he's not. This guy's build is super weird. I'll just say that right now. If we actually look at it. But here's the thing. Again, in Gold League, it's not about basically like overreacting to what you see, because I want you to scout very little. So I mean, even if you didn't scout his ramp, I don't even give a shit. Like, you could just go back to the cliff and call it a day, and just keep tabs on if he expands or not eventually.
Okay.
Because all I want you to do is I want you to, as quick as you can, get 2 bases saturated, and then make roaches off of a standard opener. Because if you do that, this spine crawler will keep you safe if the guy were to do anything super, super aggressive really early, really fast. And those roaches will come out so fast if you prioritize your drones that you'll be able to handle a weird, like, 5-minute all-in off of 1 base. Or something like that.
Okay.
Alright, and then, so your look at your larva. Your larva's not bad so far. You should definitely be starting a layer. Your Evo chamber timing and your Roachhorn timing is fine. I will, however, say you should put... I would recommend putting the Roachhorn in front of your base. Only because if this was Hellions, he would be able to just drive in your base right now and fuck you up. It would have a chance to just do some damage to you. So always give yourself like a little like 1 pixel doorway in front of your base, especially against Terran and Zerg.
Okay. When
you do builds like this, that way you can't just get flooded. But the timing of when you took it, I'm gonna say your drones, I feel like, is not actually the most efficient. You should definitely have a little bit more going on at your natural right now. Because your inject just popped off. I feel like if we go back, we're gonna probably see a little bit of larva neglecting going on. Let's see. Also, did you start your queens like right away when your pool's done? I want to see that too. I don't think you did. So your pool's done
I'm
at
not sure if I did this game,
okay. Your pool's done.
I've been doing that.
Okay, that's super important. Like, it's because it's larva generation, so it's definitely super important. And then 209 is when it finished. Your queen started at 213, so not that long of a wait. It's like, you know, 4 seconds or so. But yeah, it's just not that bad. But yeah, when I'm looking at your build, I just feel like your queen, or your drone count's low. So you inject it pretty fast. You are spinning your larva. You make your larva. Another thing you're not, okay, here's another thing you're not doing. Right after your natural queen is done. So I know where this is getting all fucked up right now. It should feel like you have more drones when you throw down your Roachhorn and your Evo chamber, and here's why. You're skipping the layer, and you're skipping the 3rd queen. You need to make... Yeah, you need to make like a 3rd queen off of like your natural, I would say. And this will allow you to start making creep spread, which can go to your 3rd and then go out on the map. And then also your layer is going to be another expense right there, where together they're going to be 300 minerals, which is going to definitely delay your Evo Roachhorn setup. And if you did those first and then got enough minerals to then, while spinning your larva, then make your Roachhorn and then make your Evo, you would have like 12 drones on your natural when you started it. So that's where it's kind of getting...
Make the 3rd... Make it right away.
Yeah, make it right. And also, don't ever make lings like this. You saw... So, like, but yeah, I'll just say with your build first, definitely make the 3rd queen. Definitely do that. Mm-hmm. Now, talking about what you just saw, your Overlord just died to a bunch of Marines. And that is, you know, it's not great. That's why I was saying also, if you put it above the cliff, it would probably not die. Because you saw what you wanted to see, now you can put it kind of in a safe spot. But then you see, okay, he's got Marines, he's killing Marvelord. Now I'm going to tell you something right now. This is not actually that scary because if you have 2 queens and a spine, and he pushes you with 10 marines, I'm going to ask you a question really fast. If he were to push you with 10 marines and you have 2 queens and a spine, how many marines do you think would, or what do you think would win that fight? The 10 marines or 2 queens and a spine?
I have no idea.
Okay, so
I would say the Marines. I feel like you're about to tell me it's the Queens.
it's the queen. Basically, the 10 marines would most likely win that fight if the queens did not have transfuse, and also if your doorway to your base was wide open. Like if he could just like get on a thing, kill it, get on another thing, kill it, and he wasn't being like in a weird way SimCity'd into your base. And what that means is like if he didn't have to go through like a maze to get into your base, essentially, the Marines would probably win. But if you had a wall off here, for the most part, he could kill your doorway, like he could, out of range of the spine and out of range of the queens, but he would not kill it faster than it builds. And even if he were to do something like kill your Roach Warren, for instance, that was in the doorway, the Roach Warren would finish before he were to kill it, like based off of this game right here. Your Roach Warren would 100% finish before he could kill it. You could make roaches while the Roach Warren dies. You could just rebuild the Roach Warren elsewhere in your base then after that. And then your Spine Queen and roaches that spawn would easily kill it, and you would have 2 fully saturated bases. 100% chance. Like that was a guarantee it would totally happen like that. The only way a player is ever going to really punish you if you don't make defense early, like we're talking like we're not talking about spine, we're talking about like lings and shit like that. The only way you're going to get punished is if your opponent legit proxies you, and then he's also proactive about using his units and like harassing you, which would mean he would be harassing you like right as your hatchery is almost done. He would already be building a bunker against your hatchery, and then he would have Marines and SCVs coming over there to like guard that bunker and try to like kill the natural. Then yes, making Zerglings would make sense because he's all-inning you like crazy and he's proxied. But if he's not doing that, there's no need to make Zerglings. Making Lings then is all it is an overreaction, and it's a waste of larva. Because your Lings are going to do nothing if they don't have speed, and you're not going to ever get speed. So they're just a waste of your larva.
Okay.
Like a Spine Crawler is actually insanely powerful against weird players like this. That's why I tell people to make it, because like that spine itself can hold so much random shit. But like right now you have 14 Lings, and that's, I understand the 4 because you made it for the Reaper, but that's another, now you have 12 extra, so you have 16. The 4 is okay, but the 12 now that's 6 drones that could have been made, and your natural mineral line could be almost fully saturated otherwise, and then you're still making Lings, and now you have 24 Lings. That's 10 drones. You could have had a fully saturated mineral line, and look, he still has not attacked you yet. He still hasn't shown up at your base yet, and you could have had 17 out of 16 drones in this natural. And you have access to roaches because you're already building 2 of them. Like, if he were to walk in your natural, with like now he also has a little more Marines than he did before. He has 13 Marines now. If he were to walk into your natural, he would kill your spine, and he might even kill your 2 queens in your natural, but by the time those died, he would also probably lose like 7 out of those 13 Marines, or like 6 out of 13 Marines. And then your roaches would spawn and just kill the rest. Easy peasy. And you would not have to pull drones. You'd be fine. There would be no pressure there for you. He would just rebuild the queen and you'd be good to go. With a great economy. And he's not even attacking you. Like he's actually going for the overlord. So now if you think about it like this now if he would have attacked you and you would have 2 roaches and 2 queens and a spine, now suddenly 2 roaches, 2 queens, and a spine can actually kill 13 Marines. Because there's enough HP there for Zerg to actually win that fight. Like, the Marines wouldn't kill all of it fast enough. The Marines would die faster. And then he's still not attacking you. He killed an Overlord and ran away. This is the kind of shit I'm talking about, where I always tell everyone, just fucking, like, ignore. Don't do, like, Lings like this, because he is wasting, like, this is, okay, let me say it like this. This is where gold players kind of, like, struggle a lot of times. And we'll talk about your opponent for a second. Your opponent went for a build that is, he made it look like he was proxying you, yet at the same time he didn't actually proxy. He just built multiple barracks in his base before he expanded. He went 3 racks in his main base. So he's doing it all in, but he's doing it all the way across the map, which is going to make it really slow, which does not make any sense. And then on top of that, he attacks your base, but then he doesn't actually attack your base. He kills an overlord and he runs away. and you're 2 base, and he's 1 base. He has, like, this guy would need to realize that if he's going to invest so heavily into doing aggression and then not actually be aggressive, his build is already, like, in the dumpster. Because the only way his build will actually net a benefit is if he does damage with the deficit he's already put himself into. Like, he has to do damage here, otherwise he's behind. That's how it should work. But because you're overreacting to it and freaking out and doing things like now instead of droning, you just make 24 lings and they're just sitting there as well. Now you're both putting yourself in a deficit for no reason, because both your builds are becoming more in the all-in territory because you have such bad economies. So if either one of you just plays efficient, is what I'm trying to say, you would crush the other person every single time, easy peasy. Because gold players don't really understand how to punish it at all.
Okay.
So, again, the final easiest way to explain this is, do the exact same thing every single game up to 2 base saturation, no matter what. There's only one variation, and that's if you don't see a natural, make a spine. If you do see a natural, do not make a spine. That's the only difference. Otherwise, it's the exact same build until you're like at 50 supply every single time, regardless of what you see from your opponent.
Okay.
And you would win so many more of your games because your build is already now like 3 minutes behind where it should be, or like 2 minutes. And you made speed now too, and you haven't even gone for a layer yet. So your build is no longer a B2G build. It's now some altered, awkward version of it, basically. All right, and then so that being said, I'm just gonna say we're gonna now kind of go like. Let me ask you a question first, really fast, before we continue. Do you have other replays you want to go through today as well?
I have like one more.
Okay.
But that's one where I feel like I did pretty well, so I want to look at one where I feel like I did well to see.
Sure. Because what I'm gonna do now is I'm definitely gonna speed through this one now a lot faster because your build now is already so. It's so deviated from where it should be that the rest of this game, like we can just kind of speed through it and give you some concepts and understandings of certain things. But for the most part, if I feel like if I just give you a build that's like, if you do this build up to like 6 minutes, you're always just gonna be better off than what you've done this game, and it will always work too. It'll work like every time until you're like platinum, and then even then it'll work probably like 80% of the time.
Sure.
All right, so I mean, you killed some of his army. That's nice. You're killing more of his army. He's gonna kill your hatchery. But like now, if we look at production, you did make a round of drones for your third. I do really like that a lot. That is very good because now you can see the drone count is 55 versus his 36. Now, if we're comparing your build to his build, your build is still ahead of his. Especially also since he made a planetary at both of his bases. Like, he doesn't even use orbitals. That's also really bad for him, economically. But for you, if we were to talk about what is capable of Zerg at this state of the game, I would say for you, you could be right now at 7 minutes. You could be like 70 plus drones, easy. Yeah. Anywhere between 70, 80. 70 to 80, and if you did it like pretty efficiently, we're talking like maybe if you started macroing a little bit above Gold League and you were just really getting it down, you could easily be in the 80 in the range of 80 drones right now for sure at 7+ minutes. So it would basically be a point where at this point in time already you would be just cranking roaches nonstop because you already have full saturation, and it would just be roaches, not Zerglings. Lings, because here's a little bit of a fact too. If you go lings are actually pretty garbage unless you have banelings or some type of AoE. Or either that, or you just have insane upgrades and you're going for like this heavy ling, high ling count, heavy upgrade style, which is very advanced. But if your lings have 0 weapon upgrades and you make lings again anyways, just because you're going to make lings, all they're going to do is they're going to run in and they're going to all just bleed out and die to the Marines because you're not going mass lings, so you don't have enough to overwhelm and swarm the Terran. Lings are faster than roaches, so they're going to engage before the roaches engage almost every single time. So you're basically you're basically reducing your roach count to divide your army into two pieces where half of it's going to run in and die super fast, and the other half is going to fight decently, which is the roaches. But you're not going to have as many as you could have, so it's going to have a higher chance of losing. So basically, yeah, it's just like making mass roaches would be better here, I would say. Just always. And hydras with this style. Now, really quickly, do you have any questions about anything we talked about so far?
Not really.
Okay. Alright, so we'll keep going.
Well, the one thing I do have trouble with sometimes is like figuring out when I should start my third and my fourth. Like at how many drones do you start your next base, basically?
So when you have when your base is basically fully saturated on the mineral line, that's usually around the, and like you could be finishing off the gas. That's usually around the time when you're going to probably want to be getting ready to throw down your next base. And it speeds up a little bit every base you go beyond that. Like, so when, for instance, like you understand, like when your main mineral line is saturated, you take your natural. You take your natural like 17 supply. That's fine. And then you could take your third base when your natural mineral line is fully saturated and like you start saturating your gases. This will probably be around like 50 supply. That's totally fine. That's like roughly also around the time when you start making roaches. And then you're going to take your fourth base when your third mineral line probably has like 12 or 16 drones on it. Again, like once it's pretty much fully saturated. And then you take every base after your first four. Ideally, you want to take it as soon as you hear one of your bases going mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted. Because then you need to transfer your drones somewhere. So you need to always keep your drones rotating. Also, another good rule of thumb is to expand when if you're spinning all your larvae and you're able to maintain that, you expand when you have a lot of money. They're like, oh, I have like 1,500 minerals in the bank. Let's just throw down another base. Fuck it. Because I'm going to need it anyways.
Okay.
Alright. And yeah, right now, you 100% could kill your opponent. All you should be doing right now, when you're really close to maxing out. So you maxed out probably like 2 minutes late this game, other than you could have. But look at your opponent. If you maxed out 2 minutes ago at like 9 minutes or so, or somewhere like even almost like 3 minutes ago, realistically, because you could have maxed roughly like 9-ish minutes, because nothing really happened early on this game. He never really attacked you. It was not until later that happened. But if we go back just really fast and we look at like, we'll say 9:30 is like a decent max for Gold League, I would say. It's not bad. Oops. Okay, so let me pause it again. You're at 115 supply. He's at 69. If you actually did something super efficient and you were actually maxed right now, all you'd have to do is, you know how when I did beat a GM, or I don't know if you saw me do this, but when you're getting closer to maxed out, like we're talking like 170, 180 supply, send like one roach on the top side of the map and one roach on like the bottom side of the map, and just have it shift a move every single expansion. And the only reason why you do this is because you just want to find out where he's expanding and like how many bases he's on. And as soon as you find a base that's like the most exposed base he has, that's the base you go kill, and then you just continue to push after that base, like deeper and deeper into his territory, one base at a time from outwards in. And the goal is the second you max out, you already kind of move out. You don't max out and then sit there for a while. And if you did max out right now and you were to attack him, he would instantly die. This guy has planetaries and like another round of like 14 Marines to defend himself. That's all he has. His army is awful right now. And then we'll go back to kind of where we just were, to when you actually did max out. And you still have such a supply lead over him, which is really good still. It means you're macroing way better than your average opponent in Gold League here. At least this guy. And like right now, you have no tabs, no vision on where his expansions are. You don't know where you want to attack. All you know is you know he's on the bottom right side of the map because that's where he spawns. And you know that he has a sensor tower. That's the only thing you really know here. But if you had like I said, like one roach on the bottom and one roach on the top, or you just shift a move to mineral lines and you found his bases, you could see that base in top right that exists. Eventually go kill that. And then even if you just went to attack his middle base, the third base that's on the left side of his main, you could overpower that with the amount of army you have right now. And you are maxed. I'm gonna say you're maxed at 10 or at 1150. You maxed pretty much 1150 on the dot. Now, how long do you wait till attack him? Let's find out. So you're still on your side of the map a full minute later. And I know you just defended some Marines, but now we're talking a minute and 12 seconds has gone by and you still haven't actually moved out yet. So this move out is very, very, very late compared to like when you maxed. Which all that's doing is it's giving your opponent time to catch up with supply. Okay, now you move out. But here's the thing. Your attack got to his base. After you maxed out, your attack got to his base a full minute and 40 seconds, roughly, after. And even though it took you that long, even though it took you that long, you still have almost double his supply, which is fucking insane. Like, you are definitely, like, this guy is not macroing really that effectively at all. And it's also partly because this guy just makes a lot of planetaries. And then you also have a really good bank, so if you're injecting your larva, which you're doing a decent job of, you have 41 larvae sitting there, you should be able to instantly remax over and over and over. And right now, if you just A-move this, and you just keep remaxing, and you expand again and stuff like that, and keep your drones going well, I see you crushing this game super easy. So it should happen.
Oh, that didn't happen.
It did not. Well, like, you can see your Hydras, they're fucking them up pretty bad right now. You are so far doing an alright job. Like, I don't give a shit how you micro this. You could do no micro at all and A-move it, and I think that's totally fine. You just killed his army, like a chunk of it. You're killing a bunch of his SCVs as they're trying to repair the planetary. I know you're not focus firing or anything here either, because I can tell these Hydras are being A-moved, which is perfect. That's what you should do. And you're also keeping your supply at max, and you're dipping into your larva. And if I look at your queens, 71 energy, 72 energy, and 21 energy. Definitely a little bit better injects could be had there. A little bit better. Not the worst, but you could do it better. And I would say maybe like expansions could be a little bit better, because like if you look at your main base, it's a little undersaturated, which is fine. I don't mind if you're undersaturated if you actually have optimal saturation everywhere. Like we're talking 80 drones, and they're all mining effectively. So your main overall looks fine. Your natural's over by 4. Your third base is over by 1, and your next base is under by 12 because it's missing 6 on gases and mineral line. And then your base on the middle left is down by 2 because it has 1 missing on the gas and 1 missing on the mineral line. So you could fix that a little bit. Just do a little bit of maintenance and fix like the 7 drones or whatever it was that are kind of fucked up, and then take another base, because you can see your naturals like starting to mine out, and now soon you're going to start having less availability for drones to go places. So if you just like injected and took another base and maybe worked on a little bit of creep spread, that's all you should do right now. And keep just spending your larva. And your Hydras are actually doing a lot of damage either way. Because again, you're killing so many SCVs here. Like, and I know you just died there, which is fine. But again, the supply could continuously remax. And now let's see when you max out. You max out at... Right now, you max out at 1450, 1455. And how long does it take you to move out again? Now let's times 8 this shit. So you're in the middle of the map and you kind of started moving towards his base. Again, a full minute later after you maxed. So there's a lot of discrepancy of time here where you are once again giving your opponent time and time and time to catch up to you repeatedly. You need to definitely be more assertive about when you max and go.
Okay.
So your army's dead again. And again, that's fine. These armies, though, like, the reason why they're failing horribly is because, again, you're just giving your opponent way too much time. Like, you slowed your own build down because you overreacted to weird defensive shit that you didn't need, which I can help you fix by just giving you a build order. But the next way you can fix what you're doing is you just literally max and go. That's it. You do not, like, within 10 seconds of maxing out, you need to be already moving towards his base all the time.
Okay.
And now all this guy's doing is he's just teleporting BCs randomly around your base, and it's annoying for you because it really fucking it's easy for him to do these attacks. It's a lot harder for you to defend it. So this is when the game, I would say, for you is kind of spiraling out of control, and it shouldn't get to this point. With the way this guy played, this should be a guy where if you just macro properly, he would just have died around the 10-minute mark or less, because you would have just overpowered him so easy early on. Because his build was massively inefficient early on. And now it doesn't matter how many BCs you killed. He actually has so many bases that he can do this all day now. And this is a position you don't want to let Terran get into if you're gonna do beat a gym style, because Hydras don't really scale well if you allow your opponent to be very rich. So the whole point of Hydras is, and the reason why is because Hydras are cheap-ish. You can max out with them super fast. You're never gonna have an opponent that's gonna be like within 10 supply of you or something like that, and you're going Roach Hydra. You're always gonna be like, well, my opponent's going for mech or bio or whatever, especially in lower leagues, like platinum or below, and you're going to be like at 180 supply, and they're going to be like at 110. That's almost always going to happen. It should happen like that, because Roach Hydra is just very supply heavy, and it's very cheap, and its power comes from literally not allowing your opponent to have economy, because you can just take your big fat fucking blob of army and be like, okay, kill expansion, kill expansion, kill expansion. He can't defend this properly because it's just overwhelming repeatedly. And if your opponent can never really establish himself, then that just kind of is self-explanatory. If he can't establish himself, he'll just die, because he'll never be able to like actually build an army because he can't afford one.
Okay. So basically, I just attack you slow.
Yeah, like your first move out should be, if your goal you should aim for here, if you pay attention to the game clock, your goal should be maxing out and already attacking his base before 10 minutes.
Okay.
So if you find yourself finally attacking his base at like 13 minutes, you can be like, okay, well, I should have been doing this at like 9:50, and I'm doing it at 13, so definitely something went wrong here. And, you know, that's when you can be like, okay, well, what went wrong? What did I do that made me super late here? And like this game specifically, the 24 lings you made early was fucking way overkill, and that slowed you down so hard. And then you waited forever to make a layer. You got speedlings instead, and then you kept making speedlings after that, which you don't need at all, because you're not going for a ling style. So like things like that definitely, like you're spending your larva in inefficient ways, which slows you down like crazy.
Okay.
And then from here, what's up? Sorry.
It's just the same of this now repeatedly.
Yeah. Like I can see. Yeah, it's because he just has too much money, is all. Like it's actually, I'm not gonna lie, you're starting to have a little bit of a chance here. You are starting to have a little bit of a chance because you've actually killed a couple of his expansions, and he's running out of bank because he's mining his bases out. And your guys' supplies are kind of equalizing. But the problem for you is you have to kill planetaries and things like siege tanks, while you only have Hydra. And that's going to be effective trades for Terran. And you don't have enough money to really capitalize on that. Like if you look at your economy, you're mining less than 1,000 minerals a minute and no gas. So that's definitely painful, right? That's not going to be great.
Yeah.
What you ideally want to be mining all the time, like forever, is roughly almost about 1,000 gas a minute. Because I'm going to tell you this too. I don't know if you know this. But if you hit I on the keyboard to go to your income tab, those numbers represent, like Harvester is obviously how many drones you have, but the gas one represents, both the gas and the minerals represent how much you're getting a minute, and it's like giving you the average of what it is. So it changes up and down based off what you currently have, but it's roughly about what you're getting a minute. So you can kind of like ballpark it within like a couple hundred of what it is, and you should be getting roughly around 1,000 gas and roughly around 3,000 minerals. That's your goal.
Okay.
So right now you're definitely getting only 670 minerals and you're getting 0 gas. That's obviously because you only have one base really mining. which hasn't even been saturated on the gas yet because it just got rebuilt. But yeah, that's why I say maintaining like upkeep of your drones is important, because you don't want to have things like where for 2 minutes you actually are getting a 3,000 minerals and 1,000 gas, but then suddenly your gases start depleting, your mineral patches start disappearing, and you don't fix it, and you're like, well, I still have 80 drones, but now I'm not getting 3,000 minerals and 1,000 gas. Now I'm getting 2,200 minerals and 700 gas. And you could still be getting the good resources if you just took new expansions and saturated properly and transferred your workers around whenever they mine out, which is what you should be focusing on above almost that, and also drones.
Every time
With
this guy saying build lurkers in chat.
your
I'm crying.
your lurkers, or Jesus, sorry, fucking, thank you for the bits. Appreciate you. It fucking distracted me. Your larva and your larva and your upkeep of your economy. Those two things, by far, are super, super, super important. So definitely make those your priority.
Okay.
All right, and then yeah, I guess we can bounce out of this one here, because this game is super over. There's no way you can deal with it now. All right, we'll jump into another one. We'll make this other one go a little bit faster, and then I want to give you a replay again. I'll give you like an example replay where I can just give you a build for like your first 6 minutes, especially could be like, this is very important. You need to hit these numbers if you can. Stuff like that.
This one.
All right. Okay. All right. So this is a ZvP. How long is this? Not that bad. Okay, so you can do the same build again against every race too. For B to GM, it's literally the same build every time. The only difference is 16 hatch or 17 hatch. And if you want to make that really technical, for like Terran 17, Protoss and Zerg 16. Otherwise, it's the same shit every time. Everything else is the same.
Yeah, I this one I stick pretty close. I think to the beta GM. So
Yeah, I'll see when you take your gas, especially. A lot of people fuck the gas up so often. So far though, you're doing fine. But okay, so you had a larva chill in there for a little bit, and you here's the thing. You had a larva chill in there for a little bit, and then you also made an overlord earlier than you needed to. You should actually make your overlord after your natural's done. Your third overlord, I mean. Because your natural's going to finish and give you 6 more supply anyways. But my point I'm trying... Do you remember what I said the first game, where I said there's two ways to see the timing of your gas? Number one is your pool timing. If your pool's at 50%, that's when you want to take your gas. Another way to see it is if you do the build exactly the way it should be, it's 20 supply. So you actually prevented yourself from hitting 20 supply for longer than you should have, because you took an overlord early and you waited on a second larva to sit there. And now your pool's almost done and you still haven't started a gas yet. So now your gas is late by probably like 20 seconds. So yeah, always you can look at the pool too and just be like, okay, if I take my pool at 18 supply, when it's at 50% completion, that's when I take my gas. And you should be just cranking drones up until your natural's done.
yeah, this one I think I forgot to take the gas this one. So that's why I was late.
Yeah. And then, again, taking your third queen when your natural queen is done. And then you actually didn't saturate your gas either. Your gas is, like, we'll see when it finishes again. It's done at, so it is already like 20 seconds late. It finishes at like 2:16. And you don't saturate it until 2:40. So your gas overall is, I'm going to just ballpark it. Your gas is like 45 to 50 seconds late being mined, which is super, super delayed. And like right now, the idea is you want to, the second your queen spawns, that's roughly right around the time when you hit 100. So you can just immediately be like, right now, first 2 queens spawn. The next things you do is you make a layer on one of your hatcheries and you make a queen on at the other hatchery, while still just making drones and overlords.
Okay.
All right, and then Your roach run timing's fine. I mean, everything's a little late now, but considering what you've done so far with this game, it's fine. Your gas is too early, I would say, at your third. Don't saturate your gas at your third until your third mineral line is almost fully saturated. Ever. So just like make drones nonstop. Once you have enough roaches to feel safe with, which is usually going to be somewhere around like 6 to 10, 8 to 10, you can make nothing but drones for your third. And once your third has like 12 drones on it, or like 14, 15, 16 drones on it, then take your gases. Also then take your hydrogen. And also take take your fourth base. I said also a lot there, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Fourth base, gases, and hydrogen all go down roughly around when your third base is fully saturated mineral-wise. Or like high saturation, double digits at least, like 10 plus. Because you can see the same things happening here again, where I'm actually glad you're not mining the gas right away, but you're building the gas, and then you're just sacrificing 2 drones again here that are not being used.
Okay.
Until way later.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But the fact that you're saturating your gas when you're fully saturated on the mineral line is definitely good. I'm glad you already understand that concept. That's good, because if you were mining gas like right away, and you just had 6 guys mining gas here and like 2 drones on the mineral line, and you were slowly saturating the minerals after that because all you're doing is building drones then, that is not good to do that, because then your bank would look like this right now. It would look like you would have like 500 minerals and 1,400 gas. And there's no way you could build anything efficiently with that, because everything you're doing with this build is a mineral focus. It's like gas is a secondary, minerals are definitely a primary, because you're not going for like ravagers, you're not going for mutas, you're not going for lurkers, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, Think Exist, thank you for the prime. Much love. Alright, your creep spread's definitely a lot better this game than last time. And right now, okay, you have a fourth that's fully saturated. This is good. Your drone count is looking a lot better this time. Remember how I said, like, this is about the exact same moment. I think the last game I paused it around like 7:12, and you only had, I think like 56 drones or like 60 drones. And I was saying you could be at like 80 drones right now if you played efficiently, and you are at 80 drones this game. So you this time around, you definitely droned a lot better than last time. You're creeping as well, which is definitely a lot better. Your overall game is not gold anymore in this one. I would say you're easily above gold for this time around. Like, if you played every game like this, you would get promoted. It's much more timing based. Like, you're on a better timer, and you could max with a well paced macro. You could max around 9 minutes to 9:30, and we're talking gold league. And this game, it looks like you're going to be more on par for that. Last game, you didn't max out until like 11:50.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest problems is early stuff, like seeing those Marines run at me. It freaks me out.
Yeah.
And I
just honestly,
yeah,
just ignore everything you see up until 2 minutes, other than the fact that if he did or didn't expand, but the whole spine thing we talked about, and that's it. That's the only thing you should react to. Like, scouting will come later once you can just do the build efficiently, because once you can do the build efficiently, you start kind of understanding timers, and then once you start really understanding timers, like, you'll start respecting, oh shit, I maxed out by 9 minutes. Like, if that actually means something to you, it tells you your pace of your build, if it's good or bad. And then once you start understanding timers as a whole, it starts letting you understand what is actually capable from your opponent before you even see it. Like, you could be like, well, if I play efficient and my opponent just kind of fucks around and does random stuff, even though I didn't even know what he was doing, I still won anyways. So, like, those games don't matter. But then once you get better, and then once you get more comfortable because you get better, that's just how it goes, because you get more experience with it, you'll start developing more skill and more knowledge of everything because you play more, and new situations arise. And then you start kind of like understanding all that more intricate little concepts of, like, how do I want to react to what he's doing right now? Because right now, reacting is, if you react in a way where it's like, this makes no sense and I'm just going to fuck myself over, well, then that sucks. Because all it does is hurts you. It just hurts you more than it helps you. But anyways, you maxed out around 9 minutes this game. You were very capable of maxing out if you just spent that last couple of supply and larva, because you have the larva and you have easily the money to do it. So we'll say you maxed at 9 minutes, which is very respectable for Gold League. Now, how long does it take you to move out? This is that thing we talked about again last game where it's being efficient with your max here. So again, you moved out. You start moving out a minute after. So you definitely got to be more efficient with that. Because think about it like this. If you max out and you're doing like macro tasks where you're like, all right, I gotta fucking inject, I gotta creep spread, I gotta upgrade, mineral field's depleted, I gotta fix that. Do that after you send your army on that shift A move command, and do that while your army's going and killing fucking random stuff. And then you can replace hydras as they die, but you don't have to look at your army when you do that. You can just let your army go do its thing, and it's going to give you the most damage you can possibly do because it's hitting the timer when you're going to get the most done, because it's the biggest disparity between your supply and your opponent's supply, and you're not giving him a full minute to like catch up to you.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you while your army's moving out, yeah, you just focus on all the macro tasks that you should be focusing on. And your army's doing great. It's winning the game right now, hardcore. You're probably, yeah, the game's over. So you did it well. Definitely some things you can improve on, but you did it overall pretty well. A lot better than last game. Just definitely be more assertive about how fast you move out when you max out. And always, and then the last thing, again, I said this like once or twice already, but just to reiterate, always scout the sides of the map, like all the way the sides of the map to his base before you max. Do not do that after you've maxed. Okay. Like, do that like at 150 supply, 160 supply, 170 supply, whatever. Just do it before you max by like 30 seconds or whatever. So you can see where you want to go the second you do max. And you can then make your shift A move rally commands to then go there right after you max. So you like, that's the assertive part where you max and you go. You don't wait around to figure out what you want to do, because you figured that out already.
Okay.
All right, let's pop out of that game, and then make me the party leader now, and then I will actually make a game, and I'll just do an example for you to base off of, and then we're good to go. But any questions again about anything we talked about?
No, not really.
Anything you want to do troll wise?
I'm good. I had my intro. That's all I need.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So yeah, I'll take you to a max on this one, and then we'll call it good.
Okay.
Poorly timed bits are perfect. Just the bestest.
Yo, Lithine Blue, thank you for the bits. Also, guys, anyone who supported, I appreciate you guys. I'll get back to the list after this is over. But much love, everybody. I know I missed a few people, but I appreciate you. All right, so I am I'm chilling. We're making drones. 50% pool. We make our gas, and always make that third queen and make that layer right after your first two queens. And this game too, this is something I want you to do, okay? I want you to actually also not only pay attention to my build with the timers of what we're doing, like like how fast we max out and stuff like that. I want you to also though compare my creep to your games in the future for like, by the time I max, how far out am I on the map already?
Okay.
And then you work on that.
Usually my creep, it starts out okay, but then as soon as I start like doing things, it goes to shit. So
yeah, well, creep should like your tasks for the start of the game should definitely be like making overlords, making drones, injecting your bases, and creeping. But then once the game kind of develops a bit more, it'll stop becoming overlords and drones, and it'll start going to something way more simple, which is just making hydras. And then you have a lot more time then, because you don't have to like prioritize like drones, overlords, and you don't have to like pick the right one at the right time. It's just hydra all the time, and you and then you can just focus on creeping more. More of your attention can go to creeping then, because you don't have to look at other things as hard. You just make hydras, attack, make creep, and inject. Like the only.
Okay.
It basically, like in the beginning of the game, you have to do everything You have to do the mineral management. You have to do gas management. You have to rotate your dudes around. You gotta make overlords. All these things. But then once the game progresses further and further, you still have to do everything except make drones and overlords. Like those are the only things that go away. But then everything else still needs to be done. So like as the game goes on longer, eventually you would sacrifice the drone tasks and the overlord tasks for like things like micro, and that'll come later. But for now, it's just. Basically, what's it called? Sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought here. Because I'm like trying not to fuck this up. My point I'm trying to make here is for now, just focus heavily on creep spread as much as you can with injecting throughout the game, and it'll make you have so much more control. Okay, so I made a layer. I made a third queen right away. And we're just droning, and we're not going to build our Roachhorn or Evo until our inject wave pops off. You're pretty good about doing that for the most part, at least from what I saw in those games, even though your builds are a little off.
Yeah, I was trying to find like an average replay, but I feel like I don't really have any average games. I'm either like doing pretty well, or I just completely fuck up.
Yeah, and I think part of that's because you're thinking too hard about what's going on in the game, like the Zergling choice, where you're overthinking what he could do, and if you just did the build as we're doing right now every single time, it doesn't matter what he does, because whenever he shows up, you will crush it almost every single time. Your odds are very high that you will crush it.
Okay.
All right, and then now we're gonna take our third base, and we have our creep. And this is what that third queen does, right? It just keeps pumping creep out, like, right off the bat. So, like, now our queens can defend our third properly as it's being started. And, you know, we have just mobility on our side. And then also we're going to have way more map control because creep it's spreading in, like, multiple directions faster and faster and faster right off the bat. So that's very, very, very good.
And then when do you build your fourth queen?
I'm going to build my fourth queen after we spend our larva. Like, once we have no larva that we can spend anymore, then add in a fourth queen. So you can see I'm like barely getting my larva spent, and I'm still like, my money keeps dipping down to like nothing. And then, like right now though, I actually have a little bit of money now. It's starting to ramp up. So I just spent all my larva, and now I can probably be like, let's make a queen, and we're good. Okay. So once you just have no larva and you're like, okay, I have like 300 minerals or so, yeah, we can afford a queen now. That's when you should do it. And then once you have 4 queens, just stop at 4.
Okay.
And now we have safety roaches. We got some creep spread going. We can use our current creep spreading queen and make it become an injector for the third. And you can see I already have like a pretty decent saturation on my third before it's even done. Like I probably have like 10 drones already on it. So like by the time it's done, it's going to be almost fully saturated. Almost. And then we can take a couple of drones. And this is now like when I said double digits, like 10 plus. Now we go fourth base. Now we go double gas. Now we go hydrogen. Anywhere the fuck you want to build it. Doesn't really matter. And then we also take the last gas in our main base. And we can go into more creep. You can just pair every time you inject, throw down some creep as well. And we're going for that like 80 drone number here. Roughly 80 drones. We could rally our hatcheries all to our fourth base now because it's coming along. It's almost done. Inject, inject, inject. The drone count is at 74, 75, 78. Start getting upgrades. We can also get a second Evo chamber. You could make the second Evo chamber too, like early on or whatever. If you make it when you make your first Evo, that's fine. If you make it when you make your hydrogen, that's also fine. It really just comes down to like if you feel confident that you know are going to be okay if you don't make it, like if you don't need that wall off basically. I would say you could always make it. Just always make it. And it's not that big of a deal. It's so minor on your economy at that point. And it'll keep you safe too.
Yeah, I think generally I make them at the same time, but I don't generally use them as like a wall.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and then like right now we have our fourth base is done. We have a good drone count. We're making hydras. We're injecting all of our bases. Our creep looks pretty fucking good. We can now even send our queen that was spreading creep again, the 4th queen. Now it could become an injector again for your 4th base because we have a lot of active tumors now. And we could just be like, cool, let's just spread creep in all these different directions. And then make hydras. And now we're injecting 4 bases with 4 queens and just spreading creep with only active tumors and just going crazy on hydras. And you maxed out at 9 minutes that last game. And we are going to max out. We'll see. We'll see. We're already at 7:30 and we're at 150 supply. And now we can see our base is mining out. So we can take a Hedron and go build another base. Another expansion. Keep spreading that creep. We can see him coming from far away because we have so much vision. So we can just send our army to go, hey, move that. It's fine. Spread creep, spread creep, spread creep, spread creep. Inject bases. And then mineral fields keep getting depleted, so we'll keep going back to our main and keep grabbing drones and putting them on the new base we just made to keep a drone saturation like running well. And we're gonna max out at like probably like 8:15 to 8:20. And we didn't do anything this game other than just the build. And then I did one mistake though. I didn't scout like I told you to do with the roaches and stuff. Like when you're like 150 supply. We'll just go ahead and like A-move his... Or what's up?
I think that means you have to do the build all over again.
Yeah, I gotta do it again, dude. Fuck.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't count, bro. But yeah, like we maxed out, what was that, 8:15, 8:30? I can't remember what it was now. But that's super fucking fast. And then you don't even have to look at your army attacking him. When you're attacking like this, all it would be is seriously is keep spreading those active tumors. While you're spreading active tumors, go back to your hatchery hotkey 5SH, 5SH, 5SH. And then once you're done spreading the creep, go back to injecting again. Inject, inject, inject. Look at your drones. We got 4 over in the main. Fix that shit. Go over to a different base. And so on and so on.
Okay.
And that's literally all it is for now. What I think you should be doing. And you can see when we maxed out, we had all of our we had 5 bases, all fully connected by creep, and we had, I would say, probably like 40%, about 40%, maybe like 35-40% of the map already covered in creep at the first max. And then we're still just creeping like this on remaxes after remax after remax, which means like by the second time you remax, you'll have like maybe 50% of the map covered in creep. The third time you remax, maybe you'll have 65% of the map covered in creep, and so on and so on. And then it just makes your remax's potential insanely powerful because you can just get across the map even faster every time, because you have the mobility on creep.
Right. Okay.
All right, man. I would highly recommend saving that replay. And do you have any questions about anything?
No, I think you covered most of it.
Right, dude.
I think I just, mainly need to attack quicker.
Yeah, definitely. Assertiveness definitely will help you a lot. For sure.
Okay. Cool.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much for doing a coaching lesson, and thanks for supporting the stream as much as you do. I appreciate you, dude.
No problem. Thanks.
And yeah, dude, have a good rest of your... Yeah, baby. And nice intro, by the way. And I appreciate you not playing it for very long, because I don't think that'll have a copyright thing, because you only did little spurts of it, so it's all good.
Yeah, I figured if I did like a little tiny piece of it, it would be okay. So.
Yeah, it's fine. All right, man. I'll see you on the stream, and good luck, dude.
Yeah, thanks. See ya.
All right, see ya. All right, guys. Thank you again for watching another coaching lesson. I will see you all in the next one. If you guys enjoyed this, just know, like I just said, where I was like, I'll see you in the next one. I have so many of these things. You guys can check out many more coaching lessons all over my YouTube channel. Also, I have Bronze GM series, which is a big guide on how to play the game, and replay analysis videos. Basically, more content than you could ever consume for learning how to play StarCraft, if that's what you want to go for. So good luck to you as well, whoever is listening, watching. Much love for watching it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, peace, guys.